Good afternoon, everyone. We will get started shortly. Hello, everyone. We will get started in less than 1 minute. All right, we'll get started. Thank you all for joining the Get Real About Vape, a virtual conference for adults led by youth in Louisiana. We'll now have our MC, Jasmine Barnett, get us started.
Hey, my name is Jasmine. As they just said, I am 18 years old and I am a part of the Next Era group. I am of it, and the main reason for the Next Era group is to show and tell kids what the real thing tobacco do, and to also inspire adults to stop or to never join. Okay, so one of the main purpose of everything is the tobacco. Um, One thing I know that it do mess up your lungs, everything. And if one thing they do is do target the little kids because they know that the little kids will buy more, and they made flavors of it now because little kids love the flavors like grape, strawberry, and everything. So they use it to target kids to buy more. And they know kids will tell kids everything. So they would like to make kids spread the word and use it against them.
Thank you, Jasmine, for that. The overall goal of today is to reduce the amount of vaping among youth in Louisiana. And the purpose of Get Real About Vaping is to inform the adults of the best ways to handle young people and teenagers who participate in smoking or vaping. I am Michelle Ozai. I'm the Social and Health Disparity Senior Coordinator for the Louisiana Campaign for Tobacco-Free Living, and I'm also the Program Coordinator for the Youth Advisory Board and our Next Era group as well. We'll now have our introductions done by Youth Advisory Board. We'll start with John. Would you mind introducing yourself?
Hello, everybody. So I'm John from Bossier Parish, and I joined Next Era because I saw how prevalent the vaping and tobacco was and how it really changes people in the way they act. And I just wanted to have a small part in stopping that.
Thank you, John. We'll go to Kai.
My name's Kai from Calcasieu Parish, and I wanted to join the Youth Advisory Board because I've seen in my community and in my family how bad the effects of tobacco can be, and that has taught me how important it is that it needs to be stopped, and that there are a lot of things that we can do about it, and that our ideas can contribute to helping other people.
Thank you, Kai. We'll now hear from Kennedy.
Hi, my name is Kennedy, and I'm from Monroe. And I really just joined to protect my loved ones from smoking and really done it. And I've also wanted to impact my community as well as just teaching the knowledge I've learned from YAB onto other teens.
Thank you, Kennedy. We'll now hear from Zoriel.
Hi, my name is Zoriel, and I'm from Lafayette Parish. And I wanted to join YAB because I felt like there weren't enough people out there teaching not only young adults, but also kids the effects of tobacco that it can have on your body. And I feel that this group does absolutely everything in their power to make sure the word gets out about how bad it is.
Thank you, Zoriel. We'll now hear from Layla.
Hi, my name is Layla. I am from St. James Parish, and the reason I joined this is because I've seen this as an opportunity for me as a teen to speak up about vaping and to realize how bad it is and to have a voice in how to stop it.
Thank you, Layla. We'll now hear from Allison. Oh, can't hear you, Allison. No, I can't. Nope. Allison, you could put yours in the chat. I'm gonna go to the next person, and then if we do come back on, we'll come back to you. Sierra?
Hello, my name is Sierra Scotland, and I'm in Tangipahoa Parish. The reason I joined this board is because I felt like teenagers needed a real voice in the conversations that affect us. Being on this board gives me a chance to speak up and represent people my age, and also to help adults understand what's really happening from teenagers' point of view.
Thank you, Sierra. Maurice?
Hi. Hello, I'm Mario Stevens from the Ouachita Parish. I joined Nextera in order to be able to speak out against vaping as well as give personal intel from a teenage perspective into the efforts to stop it, as well as taking the opportunity to develop myself as as I'm going.
Thank you, Maurice. Jonathan?
Hi, I'm Cal Caltry, and the reason why I joined Youth Advisory Board was to help people from unrepresented communities and to help my own community to have better access to knowledge and resources so other people don't develop addictions.
Thank you, Cal. Brandon?
Hello, my name is Brandon Roughton, and I'm a member of YAB from LaSalle Parish. I joined, similar to Cal, to give voice to the smaller communities in the great state of Louisiana.
Thank you, Brandon. Adriana's off camera, but Adriana, would you mind introducing yourself?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name's Adriana. I'm from Jefferson Parish, and I'm a part of Youth Advisory Board because I want to make a change in my community, and I really want to help and speak for people my age. And I'm also very interested in public health.
All right, let's see if we can hear from Allison.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Hi, I'm Allison. I'm from Iberville Parish, and the reason why I joined the Youth Advisory Board is because of my family history of past smokers getting cancer, and I also just wanted to learn how to spread awareness of youth smoking. Also, sorry for the little.
Oh, no problem at all. Thank you, Allison. Thank you to the Youth Advisory Board for introducing yourselves. We have one Youth Advisory Board person that was not able to attend today, but she does have a video that she would like to speak to you all about today's event. Her name is Michaela Gafford. Let's see what she has to say.
Hello, my name is Michaela Cafford, and I regret that I cannot be there in person virtually at today's meeting, but my absence is due to my participation in the National History Day contest in Washington, D.C. And even from my dorm at this contest, I still want to say some things at this very important meeting. Firstly, I am a member of the Next Era Youth Advisory Board, and this advisory board is very deep and important to myself because of my personal connection to smoking. Both my grandparents smoked and met early deaths because of it. My grandfather specifically was diagnosed with cancer and died from cancer because of his participation in smoking. Hence, watching other youths my age participate in smoking and vaping urges myself to prevent those others from meeting the same fate that my grandparents did. I'd like to thank you all for being present at this very important meeting, and I'd like to emphasize that as adults, you are a child's role model. Hence, the actions that you pursue must be in alignment with the words you say. Children act by example, hence, what you say must match what you do as the child's adult of example. Furthermore, I'd like to emphasize that when addressing a child that has participated in smoking or vaping, it is key not to yell, not to scold, but to rather have an in-depth, thoughtful conversation to encourage that child not to smoke. Thank you all for being present today and enjoy the rest of the meeting. Bye.
All right, and that was from Michaela Gafford. We'll now have our welcome done by Jennifer Hainline, who is our regional manager in Northeast Louisiana.
Thanks, Michelle, and thanks to all the youth who had such great introductions and great, amazing explanation as to why you're involved in what you're involved in. I don't want to take up too much time because we are here to listen to you, but I want to thank Chriselle and Chriselle Stipe and Michelle Oza for putting this together and for bringing the youth together so that we can all hear from them about this important topic. You know, we can get out there and we can talk a lot, but if we're not listening to youth, then we're really missing the boat in helping to address this and to help prevent further generations from becoming addicted. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and of course, addiction is something that I'm very concerned about, and we know that addiction is usually has mental health drivers for it. And so, but we also know that nicotine negatively impacts mental health. So this is a topic that's near and dear to my heart, been working on many years, and I see so many of you who have joined us today who have also dedicated your work, your lives to helping individuals throughout Louisiana and beyond to help live healthier, better lives. So thank you for joining us. And y'all keep those reactions coming. Great encouragement. I love this crowd. And of course, we are also recording this so that it will be available to share with others down the road through our website. So you'll have access to that afterwards. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over and let y'all take it.
Thank you, Jennifer. We will now have a presentation done by Adriana Lee. She's gonna give us a few education information, and resources on vaping and some of the things that's going on with the youth. Adriana, are you ready?
Yes.
All right, I'm preparing the slide for you.
Okay, let's get started. What's in a vape? E-cigarette aerosol is not just water vapor. There are 65 chemicals in vapor, including lead, nickel, and nicotine, and there are metals in vapor and carcinogens, which are substances that cause cancer found in the urine of vapors. There are also intense withdrawal symptoms. So this is a picture of the inside of a vape. There's the battery, the case, the fluid reservoir, the heating coil, and the mouth pipe.
Are you a part of Vape Nation? Well, this kind of thing has all happened before.
What cigarette do you smoke, Doctor?
So back in the 1920s, Big Tobacco used the women's liberation movement, doctors, Santa, and movie stars to make cigarettes appear cool and healthy to profit from the masses. And here we are in the vaping generation. But what's really inside a vape? Inhaling a vape pulls liquid from the fluid reservoir through a battery-powered heating coil, transforming liquid to aerosol. So what's going into your lungs? Well, a vape may have these chemicals, like propylene glycol, acetaldehyde, formaldehyde, styrene, benzene, metals, ultrafine particles trapped in your lungs, and an oral fixation addiction to a nicotine hit that you keep chasing more and more of. Is this what you really want? So instead, choose healthy habits, exercise, make friends who want the best for you. Look for something more than a quick fix. Spit the dummy. Don't let vaping be your ick.
Youth use on the rise. Nearly half of middle schoolers and more than half of high schoolers have tried a tobacco product at least once. The majority of these students are trying vapes. You can see that 53% of high schoolers have tried any tobacco product and 43% of middle schoolers have tried any tobacco product. Almost 1 in 3 high schoolers currently vape. You can see in 2023, 30% of high schoolers vaped. Almost 1 in 5 middle schoolers currently vape. In 2023, 18% of middle schoolers vaped. That is an 8% increase from 2021 and a 3% increase from 2019. Youth are most likely to first try tobacco at the age of 13 or 14, with 16% of 13-year-olds being 16% of youth to first try tobacco, and 14-year-olds being 15% of youth to first try tobacco. Vape use among Louisiana youth. Half of youth initiate tobacco use by vaping. Tobacco use among high schoolers is almost double that of middle schoolers. Most youth first try tobacco at 13 or 14 years of age. Health professionals asked only 1 in 4 youth about tobacco use. Vapes are the most popular tobacco product among youth and surpass the use of all other tobacco products combined. 3 in 5 youth do not consider vapes to be a tobacco product. 3 in 4 youth who vape prefer flavored vapes, typically containing higher levels of nicotine. And dual use of vapes and other tobacco products among high schoolers is double that of middle schoolers. 4 in 5 youth report that they were able to purchase vapes from stores. Mention of another nicotine product, Zins. What's in a Zin? Nicotine doesn't always mean tobacco. Not all products containing nicotine also contain tobacco. Here's a breakdown. A single Zin pouch contains 6 to 28 milligrams of nicotine. An e-cigarette or vape, which is 15 puffs, contains 0.5 to 15.4 milligrams. One cigarette contains 6 to 28 milligrams of nicotine, and a can of chewing tobacco contains 144 milligrams of nicotine. How does nicotine work in the body? First, you smoke a cigarette or take a nicotine product, and nicotine is absorbed through the mucosal linings in the nose and mouth. And when you inhale, nicotine passes through the lungs membranes and into the bloodstream. After it reaches the bloodstream, nicotine makes its way to your heart and there it's transferred to your arteries and up to your brain. Nicotine reaches the brain in 10 to 20 seconds, and it stimulates the release of neurotransmitters, adrenaline, and dopamine. And nicotine is extensively metabolized to a number of metabolites by the liver and is filtered by the kidneys and excreted in urine with variable reabsorption depending on urinary pH. And nicotine products include cigarettes and e-cigarettes, chewing tobacco and snuff, pipes, and and dissolvable tobacco or lozenges.
Thank you, Adriana, for that presentation. Thank you for that valuable information.
Of course.
We will now get into our panel discussion, and we'll also like those that are attending today to please put your questions in the Q&A or in the chat. We will get to them in this section, but first we want to hear from the Youth Advisory Board. We'll have this panel discussion done by Brandon Rutan from LaSalle Parish. Brandon, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, you take it away.
So my name is Brandon Rout, and I'm from DeSalle Parish, as earlier mentioned. So the first question that we have on the docket is, what do you want to tell adults about vaping that they don't already know?
And anyone can get off of mute to answer the question.
Any volunteer?
Okay, one thing I would like to tell adults about vaping, once you start, it is kind of hard to stop, but please don't do it in front of kids because they do look up to you, they do understand, but it is a way that you can stop. If you have motivation and you have people there to encourage you, you can stop.
Thank you. Anybody else?
For me personally, one of the important things to remember when tackling any issues regarding uh, nicotine use is to make sure to remember that the overall goal is long-term suspension of the nicotine use, especially when you think about settings such as schools or places similar to those. A lot of tactics, at least from where I come from, has a mindset that just tries to shut down through intimidation or through basic punishment. That does work, but it may only prove a short-term solution, especially if people just simply do it when it simply just may redirect that the craving to use those products into a setting where I can do it without repercussions. So being able to have that in mind will also help any efforts dramatically.
All right. Anyone else have a comment they want to give?
I know we touched on it in the presentation, but I just like to underscore how popular vaping and smoking is among teens and how easy it is. I mean, I know offhand 5 places in my area that will give nicotine or sell nicotine to underage kids without an ID, and just how popular it is to socially smoke. I mean, if I go to a party, I'm at least offered vape or cigarette or a Zyn 5 or 10 times. So there's a good chance your kids have at least tried it once.
That's a very great point.
Okay, I look in the chat and somebody have a question. What piece of information, knowledge, or most helpful to discourage youth from vaping and encourage them to stop? Um, from next era to Louisiana, the most we do is to encourage the youth. And one thing about me, I am part of the youth, and I like to make things fun because if you just sit there for hours just talking, nobody will listen. So one of my quotes I do say is, "Don't be a dum dum, quit smoking." And I like to make fun little games. Like in my town, we do like this little zombie walk. We dress as zombies and we do like a little zombie dance and everything. That will encourage you. We encourage you telling them like this will happen if you do it. Like, why would you start now and everything? But that's one thing we do, how we help and encourage kids not to do it.
Thank you. All right, Brandon, you can go to the next question.
So the next question, how do you want adults to use your feedback based on addressing vape?
Can you
Anyone?
ask the question?
What'd you say?
Can you re-ask the question?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. If I wasn't, if I do have a very strong list, but so if you can't understand me, just feel free to tell me the re-answer, ask the question. So how do you want adults to use your feedback based on addressing vape?
I would like adults to use my feedback that I give them about vaping in a positive way to spread the news so that they can get their peers as adults and like younger kids that's also, as y'all said, looking up to them to stop vaping or don't start because influence is very strong. So I feel like they should take it as a positive way and a message that could be spread around.
To add on, I would also like to say that even though you might um talk to these kids about vaping or that you create strict rules about vaping and punish them, they still might go out and continue to vape. So when you're doing things to help them not to vape, think of more out of the box, something to reach them that's more youthful, that will they will to resonate with them and connect with them.
All right, Brandon, you can go to the next question.
What is the best way for adults to approach youth when it comes to vaping and offering help?
I feel as though the best way that they can approach them is not in such a violent way because I feel that if this is the first time you're talking to them about it, why would you go up to them and just argue with them back and forth, talking about this is not a good thing and you're messing yourself up? You should simply just start off with why are you doing it? Because for you to figure out how to help them, the why is most important. So you have to talk to them and get on their level and try to understand why they're making these decisions. And once you figure that out, that should help you and figure out the right way to approach and figure out how to help them to stop and figure out something else that helps them with the problem that they might have.
Thank you, Zoe.
Very
Sorry
well
to
put.
pronounce her name wrong, but I do agree with her. The first thing is why. Like, please ask them their backstory, why did they do it and everything like that. And then you could really encourage them, like, this do not help. Like, you don't need to do it. Like, it's in other ways you could control yourself and help yourself. But yes, why is the first step. I just going to them and just be like, you shouldn't have to do this. You don't gotta follow me and everything. But I do agree with her.
I also agree with them both. I think the best way for adults to approach it is to come from a place of understanding and not just judgment. Instead of just being like, oh, don't do it, and all these reprimands, actually try to understand why teenagers start doing it. Because a lot of teenagers don't just start, oh, I mean, some of them do, but most teenagers don't start just to be, oh, rebellious, just for no reason. Usually they start because of stress and anxiety. So I think if we try to combat those reasons, that can prevent teenagers from starting that in the first place.
I would also like to add in that like what everyone is saying is like really great, and I like truly believe like addressing like the whole vaping with teenagers in like a violent or like passive aggressive way, like honestly could scare the teen and like might make them like act out and want to do it more. So like if you are being like violent or passive aggressive, it might encourage them to continue vaping.
A
And just
little off. You can go.
okay, thank you. So one thing that I think that many parents should do when approaching their child with stuff like this is try to be understanding and seeing how your own child may react. Like imagine when you were a kid on like how would your parents react? Try to understand what angle they're coming from. Be like, okay, I get it that you're doing drugs, but why? And try to show them like the side effects, try to discourage them completely, or try to find a way for them not to be able to access that, say from a certain app or from like a certain like place they go to.
I agree with you because I feel like if you come to your child with a place of understanding, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I started vaping because of anxiety," and you get to the root of the problem, which will help you like encourage you to stop vaping instead of you being more influenced into it, and you knowing that you have a support system behind you that's not here to judge you or tell you, "Oh no, it's not that big of a deal," and to continue doing it, and you know that somebody cares.
This has a little part in what everybody has said, but like for general advice for anyone who is a role model, just being able to focus and contently keep a close relationship with the youth will also make the process smoother. It will because discussing about these topics, especially because nicotine use, especially like it affects the user mentally, as well as it may have came up from a purpose that is mental or just close to that person. Having that bond will allow you and that person to communicate in a way that affects them more and will make them more likely to follow what you have to say and hold that integrity to themselves and for you, which will especially help when dealing with these types of goals or combating a substance that preys on the on addiction.
All right, thank you. Let's go to the next question, Brandon.
So the next question is a pretty long one, so stick with me here. Everyone's path with vaping and quitting looks different. If you're open to it, please share your experience, whether it's personal or from a peer. We'd love to hear what the journey has looked like.
Yeah, so I know pretty much most of my friends or people I hang out do vape and or smoke cigarettes or take Zens, and unfortunately, none of them have been able to quit. But I have seen a lot of the attempts to, and it's hard. It's really, really difficult for them to just go without it. I mean, when they wake up in the morning, they hit their vape. When they go out in public, they hit their vape. So it's very, very difficult for a lot of them to stop. And a lot of them just don't want to necessarily stop because they don't think it's a big deal. So, yeah.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Brandon, for moderating. So I'm gonna get to some of our questions that's in the Q&A. And again, anyone can answer. The first question is, how do you address peer pressure when friends are encouraging you to join them?
The way I address peer pressure whenever my friends are like, "Oh, do this," I'm like, "No," because why y'all running to get those zins? I'm running to study my books. I did not come to do any of this foolishness. And like, just like if your friends peer pressure you, they're not your friends. I think this is common sense, I fear for many. But if you ever like feel like if your friends are like, "Oh my God, just try it," say no. And if they continue to do that, walk away, block, stop talking to them, like tell a trusted adult. You do not have to do something because your friends are doing it. A lot of things that I like whenever my friends are like, "Oh my gosh, hey, let's go to this place, blah blah blah." I'm like, no. I choose not to do that. I say no to that. And it really helps me be a better person. So yeah.
I'm also on the same page as Cal. I honestly just say no, but I am very fortunate to be surrounded by people who don't vape and smoke. And so, but like, if I ever was peer pressured or if someone was asking me, I would just say no, because like, why?
And another
I
I
thing
think
that people,
I was gonna say, I think one of the best ways is to really just distance yourself from people like that. One time I was at a sleepover and some friends of mine were trying to pressure me into that. So I just left. Like I got in my car and I left. But I'm fortunate enough to have that opportunity to leave. I know some people don't, but you really just need to find friends that care about you enough to not want to pressure you into that, especially after knowing the effects and such harm that it can cause to your body. Those aren't real friends if they're trying to persuade you into getting into that addiction, especially if they are severely addicted to it. So I would just say like distance yourself and like Cal and Allison said, just say no. So
I say honestly, parents look out for your kids. There's been so many times where my mom has, like kind of watched my friends and was like, "Hey, maybe you shouldn't be friends with them," and she gives me a valid reason. And because you need to resonate with friends that you know that are going to be there for you, that has the same goals as you. So if you have a friend that vapes or is just not really motivated in school, maybe it's time to look around. So when you're addressing peer pressure, just say no. You don't got time for that. They don't have time for that, but they need to find that out themselves.
All right.
And oh, if I can just add one thing to this, if you have a group of people that you just like met, like I get it, you went to a new school and or you're in a new group of people and like these people are all doing drugs, you're trying to encourage you to do that. Don't think to yourself you can fix every like all of them to, like stop doing it. You're not Bob the Builder. You're not gonna fix them. All you can do is distance yourself. Give them resources. Let them figure it out on their own. You're not the person to fix it for them. They have to fix it for themselves.
I
Bob the
I would
Builder
also
was a great analogy.
Go ahead, Guy.
I also wanted to add that it's not just about the people that are vaping because I understand that a lot of the influences that you might get from someone that's vaping are correlated with the vaping. So they might want to do other bad things. They might want to do harder drugs at some point. But I think that we also shouldn't be giving up on those types of people. And I know like a lot of adults are friends, a lot of adults who don't smoke are friends with adults that do smoke. So it's about also being secure in your own identity in a way to where you know that you don't need to be exactly like other people to still be friends with them. And obviously there are bad influences that are associated with vaping in general, but it would help to be secure enough and to be independent enough. And I think that that's what we also need to emphasize, just even just in general over general peer pressure.
Thank you. All right.
So,
I'm trying to. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
so a little off topic, not directly related to peer pressure, but I watch a lot of podcasts, and there's this one guy who's a former news anchor who does like a podcasting a lot of along the week. But he has a new ad that is sponsoring a vaping company, and he's actually recently made a video where he was trying one of their products. And I think that not only do you have to worry about peer pressure, you have to worry about like a lot of these social media influencers, a lot of the big stars, even now it seems former news anchors too.
Yep. Good point. Good observers on that too. There's little things you don't always catch. Okay, I'm gonna try to get in these last four questions. The next one is what pieces or piece of information or knowledge are most helpful to discourage youth from vaping or encourage them to stop?
I feel as though the personal experiences that other people have gone through, I feel like that's the best way people get the information because when you see the commercials with the people with the holes in their throat or they stopped from doing a sporting or hobby that they did well, I feel like that's the thing that'll stop them the most and that's what will show them what's the worst effect of it because listening to things might not get their attention but when you see these people having to hold the hole in their throat to talk every time that's what really gets them thinking oh my goodness what am I doing.
It
Good
building
point.
on to what she said. Yeah, generally just the consequences of nicotine usage would generally the key point in showing crucial information to discourage nicotine use because that is basically the reason why this is considered a bad thing in the first place. Is everything that nicotine can potentially do to you financially, medically, or socially because of its several effects. Just knowing, not only knowing, but also being able to feel and see the consequences in a way that that imprints in your mind and affects it brings out a reaction from you is the most effective method of showcasing information that'll discourage the use of nicotine products.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else have a comment?
I feel like also a piece of information, like two pieces of information that can discourage teens from starting is the mental health part because a lot of teenagers do start because they are having anxiety, they're having depression, and they think that that's a healthy coping mechanism for them. And then another way is also kind of like using like embarrassing information, like for example, like you could say like vaping or smoking that can stain your teeth. It can like change how your voice sounds. And teenagers usually they're very conscious about their self-image and how they look around their friends and stuff. So I feel like sharing stuff like that can maybe discourage them because no one wants to like be gross around their friends. So I think that could probably be something that is useful.
Thank you. Okay. This is going to be our last question. It was a two-parter question, but for the most part, we've answered, or you all have answered, the primary reason why teen and young people vape from peer pressure, mental health, stress, different things, etc. So the second part of that question was, how do teens afford the costs associated with vaping? So basically, how do y'all afford, not necessarily y'all in general, but like how do teens, how do your peers, how are they able to buy these vapes? How are they able to get their hands on it, especially because, especially here in Louisiana, it's 21 and older that you're supposed to get the vape items. So how do y'all get, or how do the peers get vaping items? How do they afford it?
I don't know how these kids afford vapes because one, I think vapes are like 20, $30. I don't even know. Anyways, yeah, I don't know how they afford vapes or even put that as a priority to save up their money for a vape, but it's easy like to access a vape because I don't feel like a lot of adults they're just trying to make sales. Like they're not worried about the health effects or anything because they're probably never even gonna see that kid again unless they're like addicted and keep going to the shop. But they're not worried about like the health effects. So it's easier for a kid or a teen to obtain a vape underage than an adult. So yeah.
Um, I am on the same page
Let
as
me
Layla
use someone.
how they like are getting the money to buy the vapes. But I feel like they're getting the vapes from peers who are vaping and they're like 21 plus and they're like probably selling it to the youth.
Usually, from like my from some of the people I used to hang out with, what they would do was basically get it from another person who would buy it from the shop, and then they would get an upcharge on it. So like it would be a 50% upcharge. So I think they got their money from either parents, family, or doing random side hustles or doing stuff for the vapes. And I feel like that's very saddening to do for a piece of flavored air.
Um, so what I've seen is this is kind of ties into why what makes it even more dangerous. Um, when I was in middle school, I had a girl in one of my classes, and she would obtain the vapes by stealing the money from her mom, and then she would take the money and she would find older men who are like adults, and she would lead these men on and like these adult men on, and they would know she's a child, and it would so it leads to the kind of issue of dangerous stuff like that because she was doing it because she needed the fix from her vape, and she was doing things like that that put her in a dangerous situation in contact with older people who also knew she was a child. And also, it just so happens all of the time that shops around here will often just sell it to the children and not ID them. So there's obviously there's a problem of getting it from the source, and there's also dangerous sources because those people could do bad things to the underage person. They could they're going to upcharge them. The underage person is going to be motivated to maybe steal. So there's a bunch of issues there. So there's a bunch of different ways, and people will do dangerous things because it's an addictive substance.
Okay. Good information. Thank y'all. I recanted my statement. I do have one more question for y'all. Are y'all done answering this one? Y'all ready for the this is the absolute last question, then we're gonna move on. Do the schools allow you to have peer-to-peer meetings or assemblies? And do you think this would be useful in your schools to have a conversation like this? Go ahead, Kay. I saw your hand up.
Personally, as somebody who has to have like monthly meetings for school, like it's a graduation requirement and all, I feel like like overall it can be beneficial only if it's required for every student to attend. Like no student can be like sick from there without an excuse, no student can go home. Because for us, before we can go to eat dinner, because I live there, we have to go to the meeting and then we have to sit there for the whole hour and 15 minutes while they tell us every single thing. And we can't have our phones or stuff like that.
Okay.
I think it would be helpful if, because I remember at my school we had an assembly similar to that where they were able to give up their vapes without consequences to the because we had the dare officer from the town there. So if we have, I think that that would be very helpful because it would explain that it's dangerous, and but we would, I know for a fact that people didn't really engage with that because it was kind of public, so there was kind of a stigma around it. So you wouldn't want there to be a stigma. So it would, I think that it does help, and it would encourage people to give up vaping and seek support if there were no consequences. You know, like a one get out of jail free card that helps them, you know, avoid the stigma that they might get from giving up in front of the whole school. And then they can get support, and they can have an adult there that starts helping them get off of it, and they throw away their vapes and things like that.
Okay. Anyone else? I like those points.
In my school, they did have me like walk around the classroom, like each class, and I did have like certain key points and everything. I felt like it was kind of hard because they kids and you know they is kind of playful and everything. It was hard to try to teach them, but it was like a good experiment for me to do for me to actually know that I was out there trying to you know teach them everything they need to know.
I saw one of the points someone made in the chat, and it was about high schoolers speaking to middle schoolers. And I do think that that would probably be a helpful idea. I'm just not sure if it would be easy to find high schoolers that could talk about it. But if we get sort of the encouragement like that, I do think it would be really helpful, because that's easier for them to relate to because it's not our career, at least not yet, to be so involved in public health. So it would be it would be kind of seen as the high schoolers leveling with the middle schoolers sort of thing. But that's just my idea. But I do agree with that.
Speaking more to the DARE program, I don't know what it's like for other school systems, but I know here in the SAW, our DARE program, I think it's only for fifth grade. You go through school and then you get to fifth grade, you have the DARE program, and then you never experience it again. And I'd really like for them to like expand the program, maybe upward to include high schoolers, the junior high, or further up in middle school for those of you who don't have junior high. I'd really like.
Right. So that's what our school does because I do think it is mostly for fifth grade, but our dare officer for that works in our town, he's come to the middle school before and he's come to the high school to talk. And there aren't a lot of schools in our area, but I do like the idea that he's super engaged in it, that it's not just part of his job, but like it's a genuine like initiative that he takes to come and talk to us even after we've had him for our fifth grade dare program.
Thank y'all. This was great. It was really great. Y'all getting a lot of love in the comments and the reactions. I'm gonna breeze through this last little part of our presentation. So just bear with me as I bring the PowerPoint back up. right, so now we are going to get to our call of action of different things that the attendees and you all can do. A few of these short-term goals or opportunities that you can do is community outreach, share resources into your schools, into your communities, into your churches, especially in school place buildings of doing vaping policies. We could do educational events, that's vaping education, that's prevention for youth and parents. You could also do things on different national observances for health and for tobacco. A few of those tobacco observance days is Take Down Tobacco Day, which is April 1st. It was formerly known as Kicks Butts Day, which was saying kick the cigarette butt, but now it's called Take Down Tobacco Day. We have World No Tobacco Day, that's May 31st. We have Great American Smoke Out, that is the third Thursday in November. And then also you can incorporate tobacco related events with like American Heart Association or breast cancer, because tobacco ties into different areas and causes different things to your body as well. And then lastly, partnering with communities in your schools. We also have a resource that is with Louisiana Department of Health's Well Ahead program, their Unfiltered Facts youth brand. They also partner with our Next Era groups as well, and a little bit with the but mostly our Next Era groups that we have across the state. It has information for facts and education of all forms of tobacco, vaping, and emerging products. Live vape free. You can visit the website at unfilteredfacts.com for more information. We also have the Louisiana Tobacco Quit Line services. Now youth ages 13 to 17 can use this service. It's all free. You can call the 1-800-QUIT now. You can go on the website at quitwithusla.org or text ready to 34191. Everything is free. You call, you get a quick coach if you need patches, therapy, whatever it is you need to help you cope to quit. The 1-800-QUIT now is here to help you in that journey, in that process. You just call, go online, you start the registration process, and then you start your journey. For teens, middle schoolers under the age of 17, we have a text-based app that's vape free to 873-373. This is a teen program where it's text-based, there's videos, there's quizzes, there are podcasts, there's audio recordings, flip cards. It's more interactive and more to help the teens to be able to stop the vape. It's just another resource that's out there that's particular to teens, that helps teens to not vape and or smoke. We have implemented these bathroom education mirror cleans in the bathroom. We have been finding out that a lot of high schoolers are vaping in the bathrooms or vaping in the restrooms at their schools and gyms and etc. So we have these cleans of just saying like a lot of the same nasty chemicals and germs that's in the bathroom, they're inhaling them because they're leaving the actual vapes in the restroom. So you're combining all these different chemicals, all these different germs, and then even some people are sharing them. So we just have these mirror cleans to like let people know like, hey, do you really want to do that? There's also a resource on there to text the vape free to also get your help in supporting you and your peers to not vape or continue vaping. One of our last things is our student tobacco and vape policy. It's a policy that we have that if schools are willing to work on implementing a vape-free policy in their school and they're interested in wanting to do it, the Louisiana Campaign for Tobacco-Free Living can help you create that policy. Just reach out to us at tobaccofreeliving@lphi.org or to your regional manager in your area. More information on this will be sent in a follow-up email if you choose to reach out or want to have that vape tobacco use and vape policy in your schools. We have our resources, Next Era, if you would like to know more about Next Era, if you want to be part of the Next Era group, or if you want to become a youth advisory board member one day, we have the wearenextera.org website. More information about tobacco-free living. We have our website, the School Vape Free Toolkit, 1-800-QUIT Now, Parents Against Vaping, to Unfiltered Facts, and Well Ahead Louisiana. This is just a resource page of how you can contact us and learn more information. Please connect with us on our social medias, Louisiana Public Health, Tobacco-Free Living, Next Era, Health Air for All. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on LinkedIn. Just follow us. Want to thank the Youth Advisory Board members that is on the call today. Want to thank the Next Era Youth Group member, Jasmine Burnett, and thank to our Town Hall Planning Committee for being part of this webinar and helping us run everything smoothly. And then lastly, please, 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 answer our survey. Your feedback is very important to us. We want to know where we need to fix things, where things need to improve, etc. We have an adult survey for all the adults to fill out, and we have a youth survey for y'all to fill out, as well as we'll send the survey links in our follow-up email, and we will also have it, should pop up after the Zoom call ends. Outside of that, thank you all again for joining. We hope to see y'all our next event. We do plan to try to have another one similar to this conversation since we got so much good feedback in the comments. And everyone have a good afternoon. Thank you.